You have to understand that nobody cares about your problems and no one cares about your life. Most people care only about their problems. So how are you going to solve my problems? That's an incredibly important part of reaching out to anybody. If someone were to say to me, for example, hey Tristan, I don't think your videos are quite up to speed. You got the best cars, the best women, the best whatever, best suits, but your videos, they're only 8 out of 10. I'm the best guy for the job. I'll think, you know what, let me at least hear this guy out. But idiots try to pitch me all the time. I've got an example today. Today, someone said, Tristan, you've got a problem that I could solve. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Good, 10 out of 10 star. Well, Alex, the kid who used to wash your cars, you're now not allowed to talk to him because he's been taken away and banned from speaking to you. So I want the job washing your cars. And I was like, when they banned me from talking to Alex, they also took all of my cars. What the fuck are you going to wash? Well, you know, I'm just saying. So he started so good and snowballed into a tragedy so fast. He crashed and burned in front of my eyes on a Twitter DM out of nowhere. But yeah, certainly trying to solve their problems is the way forward. I'll tell you what I don't care about. Hey Tristan, my name's Steven. I'm from Utah. I'm 21 years old. A while ago, I was watching your and your brother's videos, and it really gave me the motivation I needed to break out the matrix. You see, my mom has a problem, but shut the fuck up! Shut up! I don't want to read your stupid message. I don't care. What are you trying to offer me? And at most of the times at the end of this message, the offer is, give me money. Either for your crappy business idea or to fix your car so you can pay me back with interest like I'm some fucking loan shark. Like I could be bothered to drive to Utah and break your fucking legs for the $600 you owe me. I'm not interested in doing that. The flight will cost me more. So I just know I'm never going to see my money again. Be compendious about what you're trying to help the person achieve in your first 1 or 2 lines. Because if you don't sum it up in your first 1 or 2 lines, they are not going to be interested.
I would say, yeah, absolutely. Get a commission-only sales job. Get a sales job that offers you no basic salary because it teaches you lots of things. 1, the art of sales and closing the deal and actually bringing money in is very important. But 2, it teaches you work ethic and hunger. Because when I worked commission-only sales jobs, it was a matter of, I'm not going to eat unless I sell these windows. And, you know, I'd take a 3-hour drive down to whichever house I was going to give the presentation in. I'd sit there, stare in the mirror, splash some water on my face, snap into sales mode, knock on the door, and then make my presentation. And I was very, very good. And yeah, sales is a skill that Andrew and I have even to this day, but you have to understand absolutely everything from the camera that's recording me to the chair I'm sitting on to this wooden paneling. There's somebody in every single company that makes everything that is somehow in charge of sales and marketing. So just think about things. Think about the items around you in the room. Think about the items you use every day. When you go and buy something, why did you buy it? Why did you buy it and who convinced you to buy it? You could be ordering a coffee from Starbucks. Why? Why are you ordering the coffee from Starbucks? Who behind the desk of Starbucks HQ all those years ago sat and came up with the strategy that made you know what the brand is about and go there and actually buy their coffee? Obviously, boycott Starbucks, but that's just an example. But think about it when you buy things. Think about your reason for buying them. And then your mind will start thinking a lot more like a salesman. Yeah, if you're leaving university or high school, sales is definitely the field you should get into. It's the field you should get into because no matter what you learn and no matter what skill set you actually develop on top of sales, you have to convince people to use your product or service one way or another. Andrew and I are very good at sales, but anything you learn inside of the real world even, whether it be AI content creation, that's all well and good and you could be the best in the world. But if you can't convince people to use your service and actually pay you money to do the things that you're good at, then it doesn't matter. It's all for nothing. So you should definitely get into sales.
Shopping in London is all about the sales experience, and the sales experience of the things you buy in London is better than almost anywhere in the world. New York, comparable. Some places in Dubai, comparable. However, even when I was in the Rolls-Royce showroom, signing the papers for the car, looking the car up and down, etc., there was champagne in my hand, all the champagne I could drink. You're sitting there, getting pissed. It's part of the English culture. I think that's why English do it best. It's exactly the same on Savile Row when I go to get my suits made. When I go and I try this jacket on for size, it's a bit too big in the shoulders and they're pinning it down, etc. There's a gin and tonic in one hand, a champagne in the other hand. You're talking, you're making stupid jokes, you're feeling all these expensive materials, you're making stupid decisions, you're drunk as fuck, you have a good night out, you go home and you're hungover the next morning, you look at your tailoring bill and you're like, I've spent 160,000 pounds, haven't I? However, it's totally worth it. The shopping experience for the most expensive things in the world is not just about picking up the item. Procuring the item is secondary. And it should be the same. London's getting dangerous nowadays, but even if you go into a Patek Philippe shop and you've ordered this watch, obviously, you would have had to order it in advance and it's ready and you go in there to pick it up. It's, oh, hello, Mr. Tate, how are you? Please take a seat. Would you like a glass of champagne? Even when Andrew goes into Armani, for example, because he's such a well-known customer, it's, oh, hi guys, how are you? You sit down, here's some booze, not for Andrew because he doesn't drink, and let me bring all the things in your size that I think you'll like. That's a shopping experience like no other. It's very different from, I remember going through the racks at Matalan. If you're English, you'll know the reference, and trying to find a pair of jeans that fit me after all these pairs of jeans and nothing's tailored and nothing fits and it's horrible. And then I find a pair of jeans and it's £4 more than I have in my pocket because I've only got £30 and you can't negotiate. Shopping sucks unless you're a millionaire. On the phone, you can hear the confidence in somebody. You can hear how they're coming across. It's the way I'm speaking to the camera right now. I'm not speaking to the camera like, you know, when you're pitching people. They can hear it on the phone, but in person, they can feel it. Nice, firm handshake. Sitting like this, trying to explain your ideas. Being animated with your hands when you're pitching your ideas. Being excited in your voice when you're pitching your ideas. If I were to sit here and say like, yeah, you know, when you're pitching people in person, what you need to do is be excitable and, you know, make sure that you're coming across right. It's not the same. It's not the same. You have to have the energy. You have to have the fire. You certainly don't have to seem like it's the most important thing in the world, like you care more than anything else in the world, but you need to seem like you care more than them. That's the key. If this business has a problem and I can fix it, I care about this man's business visibly more than he does during that meeting. That's the only thing that's going to get a man excited. There are very few types of sales where a salesman can sit back and be like, well, you know, here's the price. Here's the best I could do. Do you want it or not? And I've been sold those things in some ways. I went into the Rolls-Royce showroom in London, and the guy's name, I believe, was Warren or Stephen. It may have been Stephen, actually, the guy who sold me the Rolls-Royce. Older gentleman, very well dressed, very smart. It was £500,000 on this price tag of this car. It was the only one for sale. He knew it was the only one for sale. He knew if I didn't want to buy that one, I'd have to wait 6 months after ordering one. And he said, well, you know, I've been doing this a long time, guys. 465, best I could do, yes or no? And I was like, cool, yes. Because he's in a very unique position as a salesman. He hasn't come to me and said, hey, Tristan, do you want to get around in luxury? Here's a brand new product called a Rolls-Royce Wraith. That didn't happen. I saw the car. I fell in love with it. I walked into his showroom as hundreds of time wasters do every day. He's busy. He doesn't care. There's one for sale, and he made the close. But that is a very exceptionally difficult type of sales to get into. How many Toyotas has Steven sold in his lifetime? How many Lancias? How many Austins? I'm talking about old car brands that were around in his time. He's a much older man. How many Mini Coopers did this guy sell to get to the elite pinnacle of sales when he is in the London Rolls-Royce showroom selling their premium vehicles? Probably a lifetime of work. So he deserves to be there. But he's done plenty of hard closes on Land Rovers and Jeeps, believe me. Absolutely. As a man, speaking as a customer, not as a businessman, as a customer of the most luxurious car garages in the world, as a customer of some of the finest tailors in the world, as a customer of some of the finest watch houses and Swiss watchmakers in the world, the number one thing you need to do is make your client feel, or if you can actually legitimately be his friend. Find something that you and your client have in common, bond with him and build a friendship with him. There's a reason I will not cheat on my tailor. And it's not because of the specific tailoring house, which I quite like. But Savile Row's filled with a bunch of tailoring houses who could, after a few runs, make me things that I'm perfectly happy with, I'm sure. But it's the people. It's the people in that store who I like and respect. That's why I will not leave. So it's exactly the same way as most men don't cheat on their barber. Why? A lot of the times he'll talk to you, hey man, how you been? How's your business? How's your breakup? And he remembers your issues. He remembers your problems. Be friends with your customers if you're doing anything that's high ticket and anything that's expensive. If you've become an integral part of a man's business, say you're in charge of his newspaper advertising, whatever it is, if it's a big client of yours and you are important to him, make sure you build that friendship. The only time that's not necessary is if you're selling ashtrays online and emailing people to see if they want some cheap consumer product. But besides that, friendship is the way.